We pride ourselves on saying never again, but there are times when that resolve is tested, and October 7th, 2023 represented one of those times. That day was the largest slaughter of Jewish men, women, and children since the Holocaust itself. And make no mistake, Hamas, if they had the capability, they would commence a second Holocaust. That is their goal. And even in the aftermath of that barbarity, people like me were saying that, you know, you're going to start to see rationalizations, you're going to start to see all these excuses as to why somehow Hamas was not fully responsible. And in Florida, we never succumbed to that. We knew that the problem is Hamas terrorists, and the solution is to eliminate Hamas terrorists. So we've stood proudly with the state of Israel through these very trying times. Days after October 7th, I issued an executive order authorizing the state of Florida to carry out logistical rescue and evacuation operations for Americans and provide necessary law enforcement support for Jewish communities in Florida. At the time, the U.S. administration was not being responsive to people that were just trying to leave what became a war zone. Our administration evacuated almost 700 Americans back to Florida over a series of 4 flights from Israel to Florida, and we were happy to do that. We also worked with the legislature during a special legislative session and took executive action to ensure the protection of Florida's Jewish community, including directing the Department of Highway Patrol to protect Jewish day schools and synagogues throughout the state, directing the state university and college system to ease transfer requirements for any out-of-state Jewish students who were facing discrimination in light of October 7th, and providing new funding to protect Jewish institutions and houses of worship. And Commissioner Kerner mentioned, you didn't see any Columbia universities happen in the state of Florida. And when people ask me why did it not happen in Florida, the answer is very simple, because if any university president allowed that to happen in Florida, they would be out of a job the next day, no questions asked. And while you have a right to say and believe things that are distasteful and even hateful, we will hold you accountable for your conduct. And if you are out violating the rights of other people, if you're issuing threats, if you're trying to intimidate Jewish students, faculty, or anybody for any reason, we will kick you out of campus. We will withhold your diploma. We have done that, and we have held these people accountable. The inmates do not run the asylum in Florida's universities. We were proud to sign the budget in June of last year to provide, amongst other things, $20 million in funding to bolster security at Florida's Jewish day schools and Jewish preschools. We did $5 million in funding for the Museum of Hope and Humanity in downtown Orlando, which will serve to honor those we lost in the Holocaust. $3.5 million in funding for the Jewish Day School Student Transportation Safety Initiative, which assists Jewish students in South Florida by providing transportation to and from school while ensuring safety and security of the students, and over $7 million to various Holocaust memorial and education centers around the state. And since I've been governor, we have bolstered Holocaust education in our K through 12 schools. And again, you have a right for free speech, but a teacher that is in front of students trying to minimize the Holocaust, they get a pink slip and they're no longer going to be teaching our students. And we've really led the fight on so many efforts. We were the leading state to combat BDS. We've led the fight to make sure our universities were safe for all students. We have bolstered Holocaust education, and we've developed incredible ties between the state of Florida and the state of Israel. We are the #1 place that Israeli Americans are currently moving to of all 50 states, and that was not true just a short time ago. So the fact that Florida is one of 2 states to have a Holocaust memorial is very fitting given our support for the Jewish people, both our citizens here, first and foremost, but also our great relationship with the State of Israel. And as part of our continued support for the Jewish people, as well as the remembrance of those lost during the Holocaust, I'm honored to be here today to unveil this Florida Holocaust Memorial in our state's Memorial Park. This memorial, constructed of iron and limestone, displays faces and names of Holocaust survivors who later made their homes in the state of Florida. The state was proud to work with Florida-based Jewish groups and Holocaust remembrance associations to gather survivors' names and pictures so that visitors to Florida's capital can remember the impact these amazing individuals had on our communities for generations to come. In Florida, we are committed to upholding the truth in the words, never forget. And we will continue to sponsor causes and find ways to ensure our next generation is able to learn about the horrible ordeal that these survivors had to face. This memorial is the first edition in Memorial Park, and we will have additional memorials in the not-too-distant future. Now, we're also honored to be joined here today for our unveiling by a Holocaust survivor, David Schechter, who has dedicated his life to traveling our state and educating Floridians about the horrors of the Holocaust from his firsthand account. David was born in Czechoslovakia in 1929 in a small town on the border of Hungary. In April of 1940, at just 11 years old, he, his mother, and his 3 siblings were taken by cattle car to Auschwitz, where he was forcibly separated from his mother and sisters and never saw them again. After some time, David and his brother were both transferred. They faced the brutality of those concentration camps for over 3 years until his brother was murdered. But David remained in camp until he escaped as the Allied armies advanced. He eventually made his way to America in 1950, where he registered to attend college. He settled in Miami in 1956 and started his own company. He's now called Miami home for almost 70 years and has made a profound impact on our South Florida community. I'm honored today to award David the Governor's Medal of Freedom for his decades of work sharing his experience with Floridians and dedicating his life to ensuring the lessons of the Holocaust are taught to future generations. Never again. At a time when anti-Semitism is rearing its ugly head across college campuses in the United States, it's more important than ever for stories like David's to be shared and preserved for future generations so that they truly never forget what can happen when hateful ideology is left unchecked. I pray that David continues to live a long and blessed life and that people may continue to learn from his story for years and generations to come. Now, I'm going to go down and present the medal for David. Then I think we're going to have an unveiling of the memorial. So do we have the medal with us? Okay.